Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. Glad to have you guys here on this 25th, Thursday, the 25th of January, 2024. Thank you for tuning in. Boy, this was shocking. I saw it last night, and when I watched it for the first time, I was like, wow, oh my gosh, I never expected something like that. First off, what in the heck am I talking about? Let's take a look right here. Now, this is the article in the mainstream news about what I'm shocked about. It says, Houthi missile attack forces cargo ships with United States Navy escort to turn around. What does that mean? It means that this missile attack forced the United States Navy to turn and leave the area. What would make the United States Navy turn around and leave? It says U.S. Navy shoots down 2 missiles and the third lands in the sea. The third missile lands in the sea as the aligned group continues strikes against Red Sea shipping. It says two ships sailing close to the Gulf of Aden were forced to seek the support of the United States Navy after explosions were heard nearby as the Houthi group kept up their assault on commercial shipping. So, what was it? Well, this evidently is video of what it was. That, I believe, in the picture, if I'm not wrong, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but it looks like an aircraft carrier to me. But one of the things I find curious is how come there's no planes on the flight deck? Well, I don't know. But let's just try to start this thing just for a second. Look at the size. Well, first off, you can see in this picture the size of the explosion. And it was very, very close. Very, very close indeed. And when you calculate the size of the explosion, it's almost as big as the aircraft carrier itself. Now, those aircraft carriers are 1,000 feet long. Let me just see if I can start it for a second. Look at them shaking. The men on board the aircraft carrier, they had to grab a hold of their instrument panels because their ship was being shook so hard. This is very shocking to me. Very, very shocking indeed. But the media is... well, comes from the Hindustan Times. I'm going to link this video in my description so you guys can watch it for yourselves. But this to me is extremely shocking. And I'm not surprised that of them turning around and getting the heck out of there, which would be the prudent thing to do. For these brave men and women on board the United States ships who are trying to keep our shipping open, to face dangers like this is it's actually shocking. And I think that it's I want them all to stay safe out there. I want them to stay safe. And I do not like to see things like this happening. You know, this is it's almost beyond belief that stuff like this is actually happening. You know, to these brave men and women out there putting their lives, they are actually putting their lives on the line. Let's move on. Now, Saudi Arabia opens its first liquor store in over 70 years as the kingdom further liberalizes. Tongue twister for me. Sorry guys, but that's it. Saudi Arabia. Can you imagine? The first liquor store in 70 years. It's near Riyadh, in Saudi Arabia. Now, I imagine that they're going to probably be doing quite a brisk business. Especially if they're the only liquor store in the entire country. I can only imagine. But it's the first. This is really something now. Anyway, I thought I'd point this out to you. It says, Jerusalem, a liquor store is opened in Saudi Arabia for the first time in 70 years, a diplomat reported on Wednesday. Further socially liberalizing step in the once ultra-conservative kingdom that is home to the holiest sites in Islam. While restricted to non-Muslim diplomats, the store in Riyadh comes as Saudi Arabia's assertive Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman aims to make the kingdom a tourism and business destination as part of an ambitious plans to slowly wean its economy away from crude oil. Now, from what I understand, they are actually building a city that's going to be like a long skinny city, and it's going to be like all glass, and it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be a magnificent wonder of the world if they actually get it completed. And they're already, I guess, working on it. It's going to be an amazing thing. And I like projects like that. I mean, we do have some things that mankind has built that can actually be seen from space. Now, I'm not sure if the city will be able to. Perhaps it will be seen from space. It might be big enough, the city that they're going to build. But the Great Wall of China is actually able to be seen from space. One of mankind's greatest achievements. And another monster of an achievement was the Great Pyramids that have stood the test of time, So anyway, moving on today, we're going to take a look. These are the choke points, and this is what they're fighting over. These are the choke points for shipping. And it rates them according to percentage. The Suez Canal is rated 10%, and this area in here around the Red Sea is rated 10%. That's a lot. When you consider that the Panama Canal is only 6% of global trade. The Danish Strait's 5% up there in the north. The English Channel is 4%. I didn't know that. The English Channel actually carries 4%. That's amazing. The Bosphorus Strait, it's got them all listed here. But the two most potent choke points in this war right now are the Strait of Hormuz and the Bab el-Mandeb. These two right here that account for 15%. But I think the Strait of Hormuz is actually more. The Strait of Hormuz is where all the oil comes through, and that's a very important part of shipping, And it's probably going to be the next choke point in the crosshairs. Now, Russia's top diplomat, he's saying that the United States and South Korea and Japan, he's accusing them of preparing for war with North Korea. The United Nations, Russia's top diplomat, has accused the United States, South Korea, and Japan on Wednesday of preparing for war with North Korea. Sergei Lavrov told UN News Conference that this new military bloc brought together by the United States is building up military activity and conducting large-scale exercises. The United States, South Korea, and Japan have described their combined military drills as defensive in nature and necessary to cope with the growing North Korean nuclear threats. It says all of a sudden, this is what Lavrov said. He said all of a sudden South Korea's rhetoric became even more hostile toward Pyongyang. Pyongyang is North Korea. He says, as well, we hear aggressive rhetoric. And it says seriously talking about setting up NATO infrastructure with U.S. assistance. So these are the allegations made by the Sergei Lavrov. Now, taking a look here, precious metals today, silver and gold. Your silver is up today by 14 cents at $22.79 today. So it's getting back up toward $23. You know, I'm going to tell you guys, I was researching last night into the new gold standard that's coming. It appears as though the BRICS, what articles I was reading said probably sometime in 2024. Well, that's this year. And I heard the BRICS are planning on making a gold weight for their currency. In other words, their currency is going to be worth a respective weight of gold. I don't think this is a move to actually destroy the dollar. They can utilize the dollar. They can use the dollar. They want the dollar to stay alive. But it's going to have a big effect upon how the dollar relates to the spot price. It's probably going to make it so that the spot price of gold and silver become unhinged from the 4 big bullion banks and the COMEX. And we're probably going to see a more, what's the word I could use? Well, I think it was under Basel III or whatever, they made gold a tier 1 asset class. If I remember right. No, I'm telling you guys that from memory. I don't want to have to look it up, but that's why. But I believe that as such, it can be counted in your bank vaults and stuff, just like cash. You know, just like having more secure than anything out there. You know, and up till that point when they made it that way, it wasn't. You know, but it's been a slow process. It's been a crawling process. Very, very slow. Moving toward what's going to be in the end that the paper price is not going to determine the price of the physical metals any longer at a certain point. They're going to break free, in other words. And that's when we're going to see, you know, gold move to a level that is... And along in that time, too, you're going to find that when the price of gold and silver start to break free, that's when everybody's going to want to buy it. And right now, in the silver market in the United States, the purchases have changed their complexion somewhat. The smaller purchases are starting to taper off a lot. People were buying silver back when they had those stimmy checks and had extra money in the bank. The smaller buyers. You know, buying things like a tube, 20 coins, stuff like that. Buying a 10-ounce bar, whatever. But they add up. There's a lot of purchases come together like that to add it up. Then, now it's changed somewhat. Now we're seeing bigger purchases come in. $500,000, $1 million, $5 million, $2 million, right? But the other purchases have tapered off somewhat. The smaller purchases, like 20 coins sort of thing, is tapered off somewhat. Well, we're seeing an expansion of the larger purchases. So the big money out there, they see this as an opportunity right now. And they plunk down $1 million or $2 million. They don't have a problem with that. Right? Now the real big money is going to come in at a certain point when they realize that the dollar is in big trouble. And with the real big money and why they haven't moved into the market, into the silver market specifically, is they remember what happened to the Hunt brothers. The real big money. And also allocation is a problem. You know, if you're buying real physical metals and you're taking allocation, you're taking them into your possession, even if you're a big guy, it even represents more of a problem. Do you know how much silver, if they want to buy, say they want to buy $500 million worth, do you know how much silver that is? it would fill a fleet of trucks. Where are you going to put it? How are you going to keep it from being stolen? You see, these big money, the real big money out there, they're used to buying things that they just push a mouse button, it's bought, it's one and done, and it's mostly all on paper. That's what they're used to. They don't have to deal with problems like that. Problems like allocation and taking possession and then guarding what you've got. They don't have to deal with all that. But believe me, when a certain point comes in all of this mess that's going on out here, they will solve those problems. And they can solve those problems. Those are problems that can easily be solved by the rich. And they want to plunk their $500 million down. Well, that's just going to clean everything right out. That kind of purchase. But they will. When they see the dollar getting in trouble, they will do that. And it'll all be gone once. Gold price, 2018 today. A little bit harder to clean out all the gold, though. First off, there's a lot. It's the price, because of the price difference. $1 million of gold, you can fit it in a suitcase. Whereas $1 million worth of silver, let's see you fit that in a suitcase. You need a truck. You know, but the thing is there's a lot more money-wise gold out there to purchase, to clean all the gold out. Take a lot more money. You know, what is there, like $8 trillion worth of gold or something? You know, whereas silver's so much more vulnerable. You know, we're talking billions to clean out the silver. We're talking billions. We're talking trillions probably to clean out the gold. So it's like a lot bigger and a lot harder to actually clean it out to where you can't buy it, where it's unobtainium. Silver can become unobtainium much quicker than gold, much easier. That's why the Hunt brothers tried to corner the market. In other words, basically what I'm saying is it's a lot easier to corner the silver market than it is to corner the gold market. And it would have a much greater impact. Well, I can't make any cell phones without it. Silver, I mean. It's even in your socks right now. And in your underwear. You're sitting around right now listening to my show, you got silver in your socks and underwear, and you probably didn't even know that. Okay, Bitcoin is 39,700. So we're back under the 40,000 mark again today. Ethereum is at 21.92. And XRP is at 50.7 cents. XRP's come down a little bit. Dow Jones Industrial Average today is 109 points to the upside at 37,915. So still up around that 38,000 range or close to it, which is extremely high for the Dow. It's the highest it's ever been. It's nosebleed territory. I'll tell you, they've priced in everything to perfection. You know, it's a Goldilocks priced it in right now, and everything better go good or they're going to get disappointed. 76.27 for crude oil today. It's up $1.18. So crude oil's been creeping up lately. It's getting back up close to the $80 mark. Bonds and rates. We're looking at the U.S. 10-year at 4.14. And it's falling 3.8 basis points. And the U.S. 30 years at 4.37, and it's fell 3.8 basis points. And the dollar index today is at 103.56. And the dollar index is going up today. Thank you guys for listening to my show. Hit that like button and hit that little notification icon so you're notified when my shows come on the air. And hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys very much, my audience. It means a lot to me that you guys watch my shows. I really appreciate my audience out there. And you guys have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.